Lost. At 12:42, an army green truck rounded the corner and stopped a few blocks down the road. Its canvas top ruffled in the wind as it paused and shut off its lights. Habib stepped out from the shadows to get a better look, but without warning the truck revved its engines and drove off, disappearing around the corner. Muffling a curse, Habib returned to the spot next to his wife, who sat on a wooden crate Noor had found. Fadi held on to Mariam's skinny arm while tightening his grip on his backpack. Everything he owned was in that bag. A change of clothes, the family photo album, his Matchbox cars, an older honey tin, and his camera, the old Minolta XE. At the last minute he'd thrown in the ragged, coverless copies from the mixed-up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler. It was the only book he had been able to save from being sold. Since the banning of books, people had resorted to illegally trading them on the black market. Every few months, Fadi would accompany his mother and Noor to a carefully chosen location arranged by a bookseller whose renowned shop had been raided and shut down. After digging through piles of old books, they'd quickly make their purchase. Within minutes, they'd emerge onto the road and head home, the books hidden in bags under piles of vegetables. The bookshelf in their living room at home now held only an assortment of religious-bound volumes and his father's periodicals on agriculture. All the family's other books, the thick novels, compilations by the great Afghan poet Rumi, children's books and magazines, were stashed in the unused chicken coop in the backyard next to the lone plum tree that hadn't been chopped down for firewood. It was the tree Fadi had fallen out of when he was 8, when he broke his nose. "Fadi," whispered Mariam, poking at the pile of soggy paper with a stick she'd found. "I'm bored." "Me too," said Fadi with a sigh. "Be patient, we'll leave soon." "Shh!" hissed Noor, glaring at them. Fadi was in the process of giving her a cross-eyed "I dare you to hit me" look, in return when they heard the rumble of an engine coming from a side street. "Hush, all of you!" scolded Habib, peering down the street. 2 orbs of bright light reappeared where the green truck had disappeared. Fadi tensed. There it is, the same truck. It revved its engine and slowed down. The truck travelled a few blocks farther from the tea shop, then sat idling as if waiting for something, or someone. Habib stepped forward and squinted at the row of numbers printed on its side. 32938, he whispered, then checked a scrap of paper in his hand. "Quickly," he ordered, grabbing the suitcases. "Fadi, take Mariam." This is it, thought Fadi, his heart racing. His father had paid human traffickers $20,000, the family's entire savings, to get them out of Afghanistan into neighbouring Pakistan. But they wouldn't stop there. They had a long and dangerous journey ahead of them. He took Mariam's hand and hurried towards the truck. Noor followed, half carrying, half dragging their mother towards the truck while Habib picked up the suitcases and followed. Gripping Mariam's hand, Fadi avoided a pool of stagnant water and circled a heap of rusting metal parts. "Where are we going again?" breathed Mariam. "To Peshawar," whispered Fadi. "It's a city on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Remember, Mother told you that her cousin lives there. She and her husband run a clinic for refugees, and they're going to meet us at the border." "Oh," replied Mariam, clenching Golmina as Fadi dragged her past a narrow, shadowy alley. Fadi paused next to a burned-out car for others to catch up. Noor and his mother came up beside them, and then a loud splash echoed on the right, followed by the sound of running feet. A group of men ran in front of them and veered toward the truck. 2 women with 3 small children emerged from behind an oil drum near the truck and scrambled onto the back of it. "Hurry!" yelled Habib, his eyes wide as he staggered past. "We have to get on that truck!" Dozens of people emerged from hiding places, all scrambling toward the truck. Fadi and Mariam followed Noor, bypassing a group of women carrying an old bearded man with sunken, tearful eyes. "Come on, you two!" Noor shouted over her shoulder. She half lifted, half pushed their mother ahead, elbowing past two teenage boys with bundles under their arms. Pushy as always, thought Fadi, tightening his hold on Mariam's hand. He tugged, but Mariam didn't budge. "What the—" He looked down to see her fumbling with Golmina. "Come on, Mariam," he grumbled. "Wait," she pleaded, trying to tuck her Barbie under her sweater. "We don't have time." "Can you put Golmina in your backpack?" she asked, holding out her precious Barbie. "No, not now. We don't have time." Fadi turned back to the truck, dragging Mariam behind him. "Noor," echoed Habib's voice from up ahead. "Bring your mother this way." Habib had thrown the suitcases onto the back of the truck and clambered on board. He spotted Fadi and waved at him to hurry, then turned his attention back to Noor as she reached the truck. Habib leaned down and wrapped his arms around his wife as Noor pushed from below. He pulled Safuna over the railing and helped her inside. With his eyes trained on the spot where his father had disappeared, Fadi started to run. Mariam clung to his hand, gasping for breath, trying to keep up. Habib reappeared at the back of the truck and Fadi saw him reach down to pull Noor inside. He was about 30 feet from the back of the truck when the family in stained, torn clothes tumbled out from the warehouse next to them and pushed ahead. "Ouch!" cried Mariam, losing her balance as one of the unkempt boys knocked her over. "We've got to hurry!" cried Fadi, wasting precious seconds to pull her up. His heart raced. He couldn't see Noor or his father. He grabbed Mariam's sweaty hand and pushed through the mob. The old man they'd passed earlier lay on the muddy street, surrounded by the women who had been carrying him. They were sobbing, talking to themselves, trying to figure out how to get the exhausted man on board. "He doesn't look good," thought Fadi, feeling a pang of regret. But he couldn't help them even if he wanted to, so he scurried on, straining to see over the heads of the two girls at the edge of the crowd. "There he is!" Habib was a few feet away, standing on the truck's bumper, combing the crowds. His eyes widened as he saw Fadi. "This way, son!" Fadi spotted a gap between two women in burqas and dove in. "Only a few more feet and we'll be on the truck." He'd reached the rear tyre when a panicked scream tore through the crowd. "It's them!" shouted a fearful voice. The crowd constricted around the truck, plastering Fadi and Mariam against the back tyre. "Who?" yelled someone from the truck. "I can't breathe!" cried Mariam. "The Taliban are here," repeated the first voice. The sound of tyres squealed in the distance, back towards the tea shop. Screams sounded at the edge of the crowd and people began to push, struggling to get on board. 3 men climbed on top of the truck, hanging onto the cables that fastened the canvas roof to the metal sides. "I'm leaving now," shouted the driver, his voice a worried growl. Fadi inched around the back as strong hands reached down to grab his shirt. "I've got you!" cried Habib. "Ouch!" cried Mariam, stumbling as she clung to Fadi's hand. "Hold on to Mariam!" ordered Habib as the truck revved its engines. "I have her!" shouted Fadi, glancing back at his father. Habib started pulling Fadi up. "Keep a tight grip," he said. "I'm going to lift you both up." "Golmina!" cried Mariam as Fadi jerked his face towards her. He saw a blur of bright pink fall to the ground. "We can't leave her," said Mariam, twisting sharply. "No!" cried Fadi, reaching out with his other hand to get a better grip, but he missed. Instinctively, he clung to Mariam's hand, but her sweaty little fingers slipped through his just as the truck rolled forward and picked up speed. Habib jerked him up just as she crumbled to the ground. "Father!" he cried in desperation. "Let go!" He tried to pull free of Habib's grasp, but he was already on the back of the truck. Father and son looked at each other in horror as the truck raced up the alley, leaving stragglers behind. Mariam was swallowed up in the dispersing crowd, a tiny little girl in a sea of strangers. Screams filled the air as a black SUV made a U-turn near the burned-out car and closed in behind them. Men with long beards and crisp turbans hung off the side, pointing in their direction. The driver hit the gas and the tyres squealed as the truck made a sharp turn and then accelerated through a bombed-out warehouse onto a parallel alley. Faddy looked from the edge of the truck, railing in disbelief. His 6-year-old sister had been lost because of him.